Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Polkadot Parachain Party, where we are celebrating the onboarding of the first 5 parachains to onboard on Polkadot Network. My name is Raul, and I'm a console member at Polkadot Network Console.
And I'm Emily, and I work for Parity Technologies. And for the next 1,200 blocks, Raul and myself are going to master the ceremony for you. How are you feeling tonight, Raul?
I'm good. I'm excited. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good, but just remember, if at any point you get nervous, just imagine all of our viewers at home watching us naked.
I will.
Great.
I'm going to give you a rundown of what's going to happen in the next 2 hours. We're going to be talking with the first 5 winners of the Parachain slot auctions and 2 of Polkadot co-founders, Rob Habermeyer and Gavin Wood. We're also going to be talking with Joe Petrovsky, the product owner of Statement, the first common good parachain to onboard on Polkadot Network. And we're also going to be premiering the 3rd episode of Polkadot Behind the Code. If you haven't watched the first 2 episodes, please visit Polkadot Network's official YouTube channel, where you will be able to find them.
Great. And on Thursday, we asked our Twitter followers to tweet out their burning questions for the Polkadot founders using the hashtag #AskTheFounders. We will continue to take those questions live. So if you have any last-minute burning questions, tweet at Polkadot and use the hashtag #AskTheFounders, and we will ask those questions to Rob and Gav this evening.
Are you ready to start?
I'm ready, Raul.
Okay. Let's invite our first guest, Rob Habermeyer. Rob is a lead developer at Parity Technologies, one of the co-founders of Polkadot Network, and he was one of the persons leading the efforts for the relay chain to be ready for these parachains to onboard. Hi, Rob. How are you today? Can you hear us?
Yep.
Hi. How are you doing?
Doing great. Yeah, thanks. I couldn't tell if, are you guys doing the intro right now?
Yes, we just finished with the intro, and we're ready for you to walk us through about what happened on the relay chain to get ready for the first 5 parachains to onboard.
Okay, yeah, for sure. That happy to help with that. First of all, thanks. It's great to be here, and you guys have the most incredible background. I feel a little underdressed. Wow, did you really? That's a lot of air. So what happened on the relay chain to get ready for the first 5 parachains? We kind of did it in two phases. So the relay chain is made up of different kinds of pallets. So we have a bunch of different, call them pallets, but they're really just modules, and we stitch them together. So the first thing that had to happen was, we upgraded the logic of the relay chain to include the parachains pallets, and that's a collection of a bunch of them. So, some for recognizing new parachain blocks, some for like collecting votes on them, some for making sure that the data stays available. So we did those upgrades to get those pallets on, and then the next thing was to schedule the auctions. So governance scheduled the auctions, and that's done through an auctions pallet, and the auctions went one by one over the last 5 or 6 weeks, started in early November. But those are just the auctions. And in fact, really at any time between the first auction and now, parachains could have gone live, but what they were doing was waiting for a trigger. And this trigger is what we call the start of the lease period. So those parachains are going to be on board for 2 years, and they're going to, all start at the same time, which was sometime last night. So they are live, and will go on for the remainder of their lease periods.
Good. We have a few questions from the community. The community has submitted some questions with the hashtag #AskTheFounders on Twitter. The first question for you is, you work at Parity. You've been working at Parity for a long time, and you're one of Polkadot founders. What is the most difficult and painful part about leading a decentralized team?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Well, I think one of the main caveats that I would throw into that is most of the team is based in Europe, and indeed for most of the time of the development of Polkadot, I was also based in Europe. So I think one of the key things that makes coordination a bit easier is being on the same time zone, especially because then you can, have messages flying back and forth. For the moment, I'm in the United States. That might change in the future. We have a few people in the United States, or a few people in Asia. But still, for the most part, everybody is in is in Europe. I'd say running a decentralized team is something that, it's more difficult because you lose a lot of things that come easily to a centralized team that are all in one location, especially like the social and cultural aspects. But if you can pull it off successfully, I think it scales much better because all of a sudden you don't have to be hunting for as much office space. You don't need to be gathering as many people in one place. So I think some of the difficulties have been about getting people really in sync, especially during COVID, especially across time zones, especially through the internet. But beyond, those challenges, I think it's actually, it shows a lot more potential for us to just bring more people into the team and bring more people to the community, I think faster than we would be able to otherwise.
Wonderful. Now, Rob, there were so many design and architectural decisions made by the team when building parachains. I'm sure a lot of even road bumps or things along the way. Can you talk about some of the design decisions you made when building parachains and scalability, interoperability, all of these things that make parachains really the best layer one blockchains?
Yeah, sure. Wow. I mean, we could probably talk for half an hour just on that. So I'll try to keep this brief. But I think a lot of the design, and I think this comes down to like the components that go into any kind of successful project or successful research project, is about balancing competing priorities, right? Because, on one side, you want to like create the perfect system. On the other side, you want to create the perfect product. On the other side, you want to match your ideals perfectly. And then, as always, you have time pressing down on you. So I think these are the competing forces that drove a lot of our decisions, right? And the changes, that we had to make to our original designs, or what we thought the original design might turn out to be. We were coding this thing as we were coming up with it. So those are the broad strokes. I mean, I think we can see that quite concretely in things like the availability system. Originally we thought that candidates' parachain blocks, that is, would be sort of recognized by the relay chain at the same time as the data needed to prove their validity would become available. And once we dug into that a lot further, we found that it was much more practical to separate those into two distinct phases. So what we call two-phase inclusion. And this is actually why, if you watch the parachain blocks, you sort of have this tick-tock behavior where it goes backed, included, backed, included, backed, included. And, that's something that comes from a design decision that was made earlier on, or later on in the process, I'd say sometime around the beginning of 2020. We had other like trade-offs, things in, our messaging protocols, XCMP, things in the design of XCM to accommodate bridges and, completely foreign changes. But in the interest of time, I'll leave my answer there for now.
Rob, in case you haven't realized, this is a New Year theme party because of our clothes, right?
Western New Year.
Yeah. So how do you see Polkadot in 2022?
Yeah, I think 2022 is really going to be the year of Polkadot. I think it's, this is a time, and I'm kind of glad we're here in time for the holiday season, because it feels like a holiday gift to the community. We've been working on this thing for a very long time, but I'd say what we've done here it's not an ending, right? It's a beginning. If I could be optimistic, I'd say it's the opening of a floodgates. And what we can expect, of course, is more teams coming online. That's at a bare minimum. From the core side, we're looking at a lot of optimizations, a lot of features. We took a very security first development approach. When you're writing these kinds of decentralized protocols, you have to make sure that they're difficult to attack, right? But there's a lot of room for optimization, and we've equipped our development teams to understand these problems and implement these optimizations. A lot of that is going to be happening over 2022. For Polkadot as an ecosystem, which might be a little bit more interesting, I mean, I'm predicting a lot of interesting stuff. I mean, in the first couple of quarters, we're going to see more parachains coming online. We're going to see these parachains starting to open up communication channels to each other. That's going to allow value to move between parachains. And As a result of that, we're going to see cross-chain applications, some of the very first in the world. And this is the first heterogeneously sharded system in the world. Nobody has done this. Nobody is even close to what we've launched today. And that means that we're going to see apps built on top of parachains. We talk about parachains as layer ones. We're going to see smart contracts on top of these things. We're going to see combinations of pallets, embassies, cargo ships bringing containers across continents. Lots of, really cool stuff is just going to start to unfold in 2022.
That's super exciting. We're looking forward to see what happens in 2022 with Polkadot Network. We want to thank you for joining the event today, and we hope you have a very happy new year, and we hope to see you back here in Berlin in 2022, hopefully.
I hope so too. Yeah. Well, thanks. Incredible to be here, and let's celebrate, everybody.
Yeah,
let's be festive, and let's enjoy the rest of the party.
Yeah. Thank you, Rob.
Thanks, Rob.
Bye. Bye. So, we have talked about celebrating auction parachains, right?
Correct.
But there's another type of parachains also on Polkadot Network. We have our first one on Polkadot, Statement. But what are exactly common good chains?
Right. Joining us today, we have product owner of Statement, Joe Petrowski, pro cyclist, and someone who actually, I kid you not, enjoys waking up at 5 a.m. Joe, thank you so much for joining us here today. I know it must be way past your bedtime. What is it, 6:30 p.m.? He's asleep.
Can you hear us? Can you hear us, Joe? Yes. How are you today? How are you feeling? I think we're having some technical difficulties. Can you hear us now? Hello?
Yeah, I could hear you the whole time, but Zoom was preventing me from unmuting myself.
I see. How are you today?
A perfect example of I would need Web3, right?
Yes, thank you, Joe, for bringing us that example.
Yeah, I'm good. It's not quite my bedtime yet, but yeah, thanks for putting me on the early part of the show.
Yes. We took that into consideration when having you on. Joe, well, first off, congratulations. I know the last 24 hours have been an exciting 24 hours for you, in particular as the product owner of Statement. We have a couple of questions here about common good parachains and auction-winning parachains. So you're really our representation here tonight for common good parachains, and the other way teams can be onboarded to the network without winning an auction. So let's dive right into it. First, what are the differences between common good parachains and auction-winning parachains? Why might one want to be a common good parachain over taking part of an auction and winning the auction?
Yeah, so I can't really speak for anybody's or any team's like individual motivations for why they would want to choose one route over another. But in general, like with Polkadot, we want to isolate and parallelize as much logic as possible. Like the whole point of these chains is that they can specialize in certain things. And so we kind of view Polkadot as like an entire network of blockchains, not just a network of individual blockchains. And so it kind of makes sense to add services that would benefit the entire network. So these kind of fall into two categories generally that we kind of call like system level and public utility chains. The public utility chains are the ones that are kind of like, just services beyond the scope of the relay chain or what the relay chain provides now. But that people would generally like think of as useful to the entire network. So you can think of like bridges to other chains like Ethereum as falling under this category. It doesn't make sense to have 20 different parachains that are serving as a bridge to Ethereum. So it might be something that we just kind of bring in, or I say we, but the governance body of the network can actually vote in and decide we're actually going to bypass an auction and just give this particular parachain providing some functionality a slot. And then the other category, system level chain, this actually just moves logic from the relay chain into parachains. And so this makes a lot of sense. Our goal is actually to have a transactionless relay chain one day. So there would be no balances, no governance, no staking, none of the stuff actually taking place on the relay chain. And they would all take place in parachains. And so you could kind of think of like one of the maybe bigger topics lately is crowd loans. So I think it would be interesting one day to just move that actually into parachains, right? You could have like an auctions parachain that just sends a message at the end of the auction to the relay chain, and it would take all of these like crowd loan and auction transactions off of the relay chain, which really just frees up space for the relay chain to work on other more important things like validating parachains.
Great, yeah. That's a great point there, Joe. I like the analogy with the iPhone where it doesn't really, there's the App Store, but it doesn't make sense to have 50 flashlight apps, right? So there's just one. And that's what common good parachains are for the Polkadot ecosystem. It wouldn't make sense to have multiple bridges, like you said, to Ethereum or Bitcoin. So common good chains are a way for the network to have chains that are voted in. Wonderful. And so, Joe, can you tell us a little bit about the process you went through being onboarded as a common good parachain? And if a team wanted to be a common good parachain, how would they go about that?
Yeah, so funny you should ask about the process today, because it's been a little bit of a rough onboarding in this particular instance. But really, if you actually look into the parachain's code and how parachains get onboarded, there's basically like a root level function that says register a parachain. And one way to actually call this function is to go through the auction process. And at the end of the auction logic actually autonomously calls the function to register the auction winner. But the other way would just be to call this function directly via governance. So that's what we did. We put together the kind of initial runtime for a statement and proposed it in a referendum to add this to Polkadot. In this particular case, we actually did it via a shell parachain. So normally, if you look at like Polkadot or Kusama, you would just have a parachain kind of come in from its genesis with some functionality, and it would probably have like a launch rollout. Like it might start with like balance transfers being locked and then do a series of upgrades in order to enable its full functionality. But we didn't want to just put a completely featured parachain onto Polkadot to begin with, because there's all this stuff that Rob was just talking about, like the backing and inclusion and finalization that the relay chain provides. And we wanted to actually make sure that this was functioning properly. So we started out with a shell parachain, which only had, I think, 2 palettes in it. And one of them was like the kind of system palette that's in everything and just has the very basic, primitives for like what the database looks like in the chain. And the other one was the cross-chain messaging palette, which was just set up to interpret a message from the relay chain, telling it to upgrade to something else. So in this case, it was a little bit special because Shell was the first parachain on Polkadot. So we didn't follow maybe the normal upgrade process that you would actually go through to put a parachain on. It's a one-time only type of thing where we start with this shell to make sure that Polkadot is working as intended. And then we actually just sent a couple messages to Shell instructing it that it could update to statements.
Great. And Joe, last but not least, what can one do with statement on Polkadot? What's its killer use case or use cases?
Yeah, so for the first part of that question, what one can do is it specializes in fungible and non-fungible assets. So it provides a pretty low-level interface to create NFT classes or fungible asset classes, as well as manage them. So like issue new instances of these classes or burn instances of the classes, as well as for users to kind of manage them, to like transfer them or approve applications to transfer them on their behalf. But I'm going to kind of dodge your second question a little bit about the killer app, because this is really meant to be quite a low-level piece of functionality. We wouldn't really expect people to build applications directly on top of statements. It's kind of like saying, would you build an application on PayPal in Web 2? Well, no, you'd integrate that into like the application that you're using to provide like one service within your application. And so I think with Polkadot, it's a network of different parachains, and applications should be thinking about how can we harness a bunch of these different parachains to actually build an application that uses a bunch of different features. It's a single network. It just happens to have a bunch of parachains in it. So I would really hope to see actually a lot of applications that use statements but aren't built exclusively on statements in the next couple of years.
That's pretty cool. We look forward to see that in 2022, Joe.
Absolutely.
We want to thank you for joining our party. And we hope to see you in 2022. And we want to wish you a happy new year. We hope to see you soon.
Yeah, thanks, Joe. And thanks for taking time off skiing to join us today.
Every once in a while.
Bye, Joe.
See you.
Now, we have talked about common good chains.
Correct.
But we're here celebrating the first 5 winners of the
Correct.
auction slots, right? Referendum 39 was the proposal that scheduled 2 batches of auctions on Polkadot Network. The first batch ended last Thursday, and the first 5 winners onboarded this morning on Polkadot Network. The second batch will come on December 23rd. So are we ready to introduce the winners?
We are, but before we introduce the winners, this past week we have had a social media competition called Ads for Chad, where we have asked the community and the communities of the parachains to commercialize, meme, create an ad for their favorite parachain. And so before we bring Akala on, let us see Akala's pick for the best advertisement Ads for Chads.
The way to change things is to create something new that obsoletes the existing order.
Hi everyone, this is Betty, co-founder at Akala.
The next iteration of the internet in which individuals are able not only to read information and write content, but also to own a piece of the networks themselves.
Great. Now, Akala is a DeFi hub on Polkadot, and its cousin network, Karura, previously launched on Kusama this summer. Joining us today, we have Betty Chen, co-founder of Akala, and Dan Racer, VP of Growth and Community. Betty, Dan, thank you so much for joining us today, and congratulations on winning Polkadot's very first auction.
Yeah, thank you very much for having us. Wow, it's quite a festival feel there.
Thank you, Betty, just for you.
Hey guys.
Can you hear us
Hey,
all
Dan.
right?
Yeah, very good.
Perfect.
Oh, we love
Looking
your
great.
background as well. We were just seeing you guys.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Thanks for delivering the balloons.
We have 3 questions for you guys. The first one is, what are the highlights of your year?
Yeah, it's been a long and eventful year for us across managing 2 networks now. So we had a great experience doing kind of all the education and community building for Karura and going through that crowd loan and getting to launch all of our products. And in the Kusama fashion, we've had an amazing experience learning from that whole process of doing the crowd loan once, launching our DeFi products, and kind of getting to see everything in production. And then, of course, the Akala crowd loan, the Akala launch, this has all been a phenomenal experience too. On the team side, I think we've all grown kind of to, work better together. We've really grown as a strong team. And it's been fun seeing the ambassador program growing, people like No Risk and Oyster who've really stepped up to help us in that way too. So yeah, it's been a great year so far, and we're looking forward to 2022.
Excellent. Now, Dan, I don't know how many people know this about you. I happen to not, even though I pride myself in knowing everything about you. But you actually played classical piano for 12 years. Are you looking into getting back into that?
Yeah, I'm looking for the time to do that eventually. That's definitely on my list of things to do, along with a bunch of different books that I'm hoping to read. But yeah, we'll see when that happens.
Excellent.
Who's your favorite composer? Do you have one?
My favorite song that I played was a Mozart song. I played a lot of Mozart, Beethoven.
Nice.
So yeah, Sonata in C major is my favorite actually.
Nice. So if you're here in 2022 in Berlin, if you visit us, then you can play something for us.
Yeah. And
I'll
I
start
can
practicing.
I'll play hot cross buns in exchange.
So going back to your chain, going back to Akala, can you tell us what sets you apart from other solutions in the ecosystem, especially from other DeFi chains in the ecosystem and maybe in the blockchain industry?
Yeah, definitely. So I think we started building on Polkadot 2.5 years ago. And then even back then, seeing how Polkadot is architect, and then we kind of see where the industry is going is specialization trumps generalization. So then we decided to build specialized blockchain, and then specifically is DeFi, and now evolve into hi-fi specialized blockchain, and that is Akala. So and the sort of the stuff that we built is quite unique, I think, in this space. There are a number of components that made up this specialization blockchain. Number one, we built a decentralized Federal Reserve, if you like. So basically using DOT and DOT derivatives, as well as other store of values as collateral. And then you can actually then create stable currency as unit of account that can circulate around the network. And we see this as the beginning of creating a reserve for Web3, for the Internet of Blockchain, and for all networks connected to Polkadot. And then once you have this foundation, right? So we are at the probably lowest layer of all DeFi. So once you turn on the economic and the leverage engine, if you like, then you can build commercial banks like money markets and all the other instruments on top of it. So when we started, we were the only one building it. So we built the lowest layer. Hopefully everybody else can pick up the bits and pieces and build on top of us hereafter, which already happened in the ecosystem. And then the second thing that we set ourselves apart is we built a DeFi and HiFi specialized EVM. So our virtual machine that allows a smart contract to actually use all the special features and optimizations that we created specifically for DeFi applications. For example, like on-chain keepers, like customizable fee structure, and things like that. And then the third thing and the last thing is more to do with our overall vision, is we hope to create a network that deliver crypto experience to folks without them knowing they're using crypto or blockchain eventually. And the way that we're doing it is through real world integration into fintech and also now e-commerce and also other partners. So hopefully, once we get there, then we can link up the entire user experience stack, then eventually deliver what we've built here at the infrastructure level, then to the product experience to everybody. So overall, that is Akala, I guess a DeFi and now also HiFi specialized blockchain. So.
Wonderful, Betty. Now, you mentioned this word hi-fi, and that's really a term that you guys coined. Could you tell the viewers what hi-fi means?
Oh, sure. So hi-fi means hybrid finance. So it's a hybrid decentralized finance and also centralized finance or traditional finance, basically trying to bridge the gap between what we've built here in the decentralized or Web3 world to the everyday user.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And last but not least, can you tell us what is your chain's New Year's resolution?
Oh, sure. 2022. I think in 2022, we'll continue to grow the Akala team. So if any of you like who's talented and want to join our journey to bring crypto to more folks, can go to akala.network at jobs. And then the second thing is, although today, yesterday actually, we launched our Genesis, Network Genesis, but that's only the very beginning of our journey. So the next milestone that we will deliver on the development roadmap is the EVM Plus, the DeFi HiFi specialized EVM. So that will be probably the major thing happen in the new year. So look forward to that.
Betty, you're joining us from New Zealand. And Dan, you're joining us from the US. Are you planning to visit us soon? And we can have a talk about Akala?
I'm hoping to.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're also hoping New Zealand will be open its doors next year. And then we can bring more folks to New Zealand as well. It's not a bad place to get quarantined or get stuck.
I've never been, so maybe we can go visit you someday.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, guys, we want to thank you. Thank you for joining the party. And we hope to see you in 2022. And we wish you and your team a happy new year. And let's stay in touch.
Yeah. And congratulations again.
Bye,
guys.
Thank you so much for having us. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Merry
Happy
Christmas.
New Year.
Bye, guys.
Ciao.
Next up, we have the second winner of Parachain slot auctions, Moonbeam Network. Before we introduce the CEO of PureStake, the team behind Moonbeam, we want to see the second winner for our Ads for Chats competition. Let's check it out. This is a meme. It's pretty interesting. So congratulations to the winner. We're excited. You should receive your swag very soon, I think. Joining us today for Moonbeam Network is Derek. Moonbeam is an Ethereum-compatible smart contract parachain on Polkadot with out-of-the-box support for all Ethereum tools. The Parachain won the second auction slot, and they also have their sister network on Kusama that's named Moon River. Derek is here with us today, if we can see him. Welcome, Derek, and congratulations to your team. We're super excited to have you here.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me here.
When did you receive those balloons? Those look nice.
Those are great.
There's a whole story about the balloons, but one of my teammates figured out how to get the balloons, had access to helium, and so we thought, I'm always in this room, but we thought it would be nice to lighten it up.
What are you going to do with them after?
That's a good question.
Yeah, right.
Stay festive here for the rest of the holiday season. I don't know.
Wonderful.
Nice. So we have a few questions for you as second winner of the auction slot in the first batch of auctions. What are your highlights for the year?
I can very easily answer that because without a doubt, the highlight for the year is the shipping of Moon River. You mentioned Moon River as our Kusama network deployment. That's really, there was, obviously a ton of work that went into getting to the point of actually shipping it. And, when you're building software, it's always this little bit of a theoretical situation until you ship something and actually have something that users can use. And so this year is, the first time we achieved that. And, even beyond that, I think when we saw the level of kind of engagement with the network, all the different kinds of use cases that were being deployed to it, all the transactions, TVL, all these things happening on there, that's, been without a doubt the highlight of the year for us.
Can you tell us just a bit about what the differences are between Moon River and Moonbeam?
Mm-hmm. From a code perspective, they're quite similar. So we do follow kind of in the footsteps of Parity in this idea of there's value in having multiple environments, and there will be a sequence where when there's a new feature, for example, that will ship first to Moon River, and then only after it's been kind of proven to be sound there will it then go on to be shipped to Moonbeam. And so we are believers in that idea. We think that idea will lead us to having higher quality software and be able to ship more quickly. So that is definitely was the original idea. What I would say, the realization that's happened is that once you launch a network like this, it does take on a little bit of a life of its own. We do see these as, I often use this analogy of, you said sister networks. So they're kind of siblings, they're part of the same family, they each have their own personality, but they're connected together in some way. And in some way, neither one or the other can be successful without the other one, right? They're kind of going to be successful together.
Right, absolutely. And they kind of take on their own communities as well, especially we've experienced that. Wonderful. Now, many people think Moonbeam actually stands for something else, but it actually comes from the song Polka Dots and Moonbeams. Can you tell us about, when thinking of a name for Moonbeam, why this song or how you stumbled across it?
Yeah, I know we don't have a huge amount of time, but I'll tell a small anecdote just around the name. So it's exactly correct that I think when we originally were trying to think of a name for the project, we wanted something that perhaps was connected to Polkadot in some way, but not just, polka, like, polka something, or not like to actually have that word in the name. And, I went through a phase where I was listening to a lot of jazz music, just kind of, calming and relaxing late at night. And so I did know about this song. And so that was the idea. It's, this has this kind of Polkadot connection, but, it stands on its own. And, let's go with this. Now, the context I would give is that, we aren't a team that has had like a huge amount of previous crypto history, right? We were, relatively speaking, newcomers. So we didn't really understand this idea that, having the word moon in the name has this like other meaning, right, in crypto. And so, then people came to me and said, well, you can't have that name. It's like, no, serious projects don't put the word like moon in their name. You got to change it. You're not going to be taken seriously. And so we kind of thought about that a little bit and said, well, you know what, though, like we like the name, so we're just going to kind of own it. And it's like, I think, our work should speak for itself, like, that we're a more serious project, not kind of like a meme coin or something like this. But then, later, I'll just share this little anecdote. I met a guy named Daniele Sesta, who's since become quite famous, actually, with a number of other projects. He has a project, Time, Abracadabra, a number of other projects. And so I was pitching him on the idea of Moonbeam and kind of Polkadot and how great it is. And he listened to my whole explanation. He said, your project's going to be successful. And I said, oh, great! This guy really gets it. Is it the team? Is it is it like the product that we came up with, the product market fit? Is it Polkadot and the cross chain? He said, this is the reason you're going to be successful, because you have the word moon in the name of your project. So
that's great name.
It's a good name.
So I don't know if he was being serious or not. I think I thought maybe he was joking, but I don't know if he was. So maybe there is power in a name somehow.
Derek, going back to Moonbeam in particular, what sets you apart from other solutions in the ecosystem, and especially from other EVM compatible chains?
I think when I think about the idea of Polkadot and Substrate, the idea is that it is this very broad canvas that allows you kind of maximum freedom to specialize or to express, exactly, what it is you want to do. And so for us, that really is this. We've optimized ourselves for this Ethereum compatibility. And while there may be other chains that are including some of these components, I mean, we really have from the ground up tried to make an environment that is as familiar and as Ethereum compatible as possible. I do believe that the marriage of the power of Polkadot with the Ethereum technology stack is an extremely powerful combination. And so we've done things like changing our account scheme and done a number of very low-level things that Substrate has allowed us to do to really specialize and focus on this Ethereum compatibility. So I'd say that's one aspect of what we've done that is unique and different. But I see more broadly, if I think about our role in the overall ecosystem, because we have this familiar environment, we're a natural on-ramp, right? So, new users that, and there are a number of users interacting with some of the protocols that are deployed to even Moon River now, you can see, and it'll be the same with Moonbeam. They're learning about Polkadot for the first time, right? So they might be coming in, they're in this familiar environment, they don't have to change, their wallets. But once they're there, or once they're on, on the platform, then they are getting curious and saying, well, okay, so what does it mean to be a parachain? What kinds of new features, are enabled by being a parachain on something like Polkadot? So that's kind of how I see our role is, being this kind of on-ramp to new users learning about Polkadot.
Yeah, excellent. And Derek, what is your chain's New Year's resolution? What can the team, the community expect to see from the team in 2022?
I would say it's cross-chain integrations. I mean, that is the thing that I am without a doubt most excited for. Launch of Moonbeam, of course, is another thing that is going to be happening here shortly. So all of the things that have happened on Moon River, those similar things will start to happen on Moonbeam. But the features that we're kind of most excited about are these cross-chain integrations that are uniquely enabled by Polkadot. And I think that's something that as more of these scenarios are brought to market, the power of Polkadot will really become quite evident to the market and to a lot of people.
Well, we're excited to see what happens with Moonbeam in 2022. We want to thank you for joining this party, and we hope you have a happy new year, and we hope to see you next year around here or in the US.
Yes, feel free to come over.
Yeah.
I plan to. So thanks so much, and Happy New Year to both of you as well.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Bye, Derek. All right. Joining us up next is the third Parachain auction winner, a star. But before we bring them on stage, let's see their winning ads for Chad. Hey, I tweeted that.
You did? Well, it's a winner, right?
Well, I didn't tweet the meme. I mean, Polkadot's tweet is there.
Congratulations to the real winner, the original winner of this third part of the competition.
All right, so joining us today is a star, a smart contract parachain, and its cousin network, Shiden, has previously won an auction on Kusama this past summer. Joining us today, we have Sorta Watanabe, and he is the CEO and co-founder of Stake Technologies, which is the company behind Astar and Shiden. Sorta, thank you so much for joining us today, and congratulations again on winning the third auction on Polkadot Network.
Thank you very much, Raul and Emily. I'm really happy to be here.
We're really happy to have you.
How are you feeling today?
Feeling good. It's Saturday, so I'm enjoying my holiday. But everything is for Web3. I have a lot of the research. Right? I'm researching a lot right now.
That's good. We like your background as well. It's really nice.
Yeah, thank you very much.
We want to start with our first question. The first question is, what are the highlights of your year?
Yeah, during the pandemic, it must be a very tough year for all of us, but Polkadot ecosystem became stronger and bigger, and the Astar network also became stronger and bigger with the community. So this is the most important things. And our team size became 26 right now, from 6 in this year. And Shiden obviously became a summer parachain, and we have done a lot of the experiments. We have a lot of the things we have to do right now, but I think we are on the right track. And Astar finally became a Polkadot Parachain today. I'm so excited. We started developing Astar network, back in 2019. So after the 2 years development, finally we became a parachain. And yeah, I'm sure that we are still on early stage, but we are making the history of Web3 right now. So yeah, really great. And also for the last 5 months, I had been to Georgia, which is a country, in Dubai, US, San Francisco, Miami, and New York, in Japan, and now I'm in Singapore. And I felt a lot of the, passion and also enthusiasm all over the world. And 2022 is going to be the most important year for the Polkadot and the Web3, so we're going to do our best.
Wonderful, Sorta. Now, no one probably knows this about you, but I heard that your ancestors are former samurai and ruled a small land. You have got to tell us more.
Tell us more about this, please.
Oh, yeah. Everyone likes samurai, but I'm actually not samurai right now. Yeah, my parents comes from very rural area of Japan. So my ancestor was samurai, but which is small land. So nothing special, but I'm proud of it.
No, you should be. I would be proud of it. I'm proud that I know someone that has ancestors that's a former samurai.
Yeah.
So going back to the chain, right? Going back to Astar, what sets you apart from other DeFi solutions, other DeFi chains in the Polkadot ecosystem? And what sets you apart from other solutions in the blockchain industry as well?
So you mean the unique feature of the Astar network, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, got it. So basically, we have two interesting features. The first one is cross virtual machine. So we are supporting both Ethereum virtual machine as well as WebAssembly. So Astar is a multi-chain smart contract hub supporting Ethereum virtual machine, WebAssembly, and Layer 2 solution. So I'm sure that there will be a transition from Ethereum virtual machine to WebAssembly next year or maybe 2023. So having two virtual machines at the same time on the top of a single parachain is really important, because this transition from Ethereum virtual machine to WebAssembly will not be happening in a day or in a month. It's going to be a long journey. So we would like to support both platforms at the same time. And also another interesting feature is build-to-earn protocol. So play-to-earn is very famous right now. Everyone is playing the game and earning token. For us, the build-to-earn, developer can earn token while making the product, smart contract or something like that. So we have an inflation because we are making layer 1 blockchain. And this inflation goes to validator as well as developer. And developer can use this basic income for funding for team or liquidity mining like DeFi solution or reward of the governance token. So yeah, this is still early stage, but we would like to polish build-to-earn protocol next year.
Excellent, Sorta. Now, can you tell us a little bit about your chain's New Year's resolution? What can the community expect to see from Astar in 2022?
Yeah, this is really good. A great question. I think 2022 is the most important year for the Polkadot in Web3 and also Asta. So we would like to create like iOS or maybe Android on the top of Polkadot. So we would like to create smart contract hub, and this platform should be accessible to everyone and every developer. And the most important things, another important thing is cross-chain messaging passing, because this is a unique feature of the Polkadot. So we would like to collaborate as many parachain as possible and create very unique use cases which only Polkadot can make. So we would like to work closely. We would like to work closely with Akara, Moonbeam, Parallel, and Clover, obviously Web3 Foundation as well. Yeah, let's make the future together in 2022.
Wonderful. Now, Sorta, a star has a smart contract functionality. Can you tell me about what kind of dApps you're excited to see build on top of a star, and even dApps potentially that aren't yet that you would like to see?
Yeah, we would like to create one of the most fundamental protocol to realize Web 3.0. So DeFi is definitely needed, and NFT is also needed, and also social, the communication channel is also needed, like like Twitter on Asta, or maybe Facebook on Asta. And in the long run, we would like to create a lot of decentralized autonomous organization on the top of Asta. And as I'm Japanese, so we have Japanese has a lot of the contents, NFT. So we would like to invite a lot of the NFT to our ecosystem as well.
Wonderful. And Sorta, you're also a Polkadot ambassador. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how you came into the ecosystem?
Yeah, I think I have been an ambassador for more than 3 years right now. So I'm sure I'm one of the first ambassador all over the world. When Gav comes to Tokyo, I was one of the organizer of the Polkadot event. At the time, Polkadot was not launched. We did not have a Kusama. So I joined Polkadot because of the vision of the Web3. And I'm sure that Polkadot is going to be the fundamental protocol to realize Web 3.0. I'm really happy to belong to the big movement called Web 3.
Yeah.
Sota, are you celebrating New Year Eve? What are you doing for New Year's?
That's a good question. Yeah, probably working a lot. Yeah. But I would like to take rest a little bit. So I'm going to spend the time with my friends in Singapore.
In Singapore.
Let me know. Yeah. Let me know if you come to Singapore sometime.
I mean, I don't think we're going to go to
Singapore. We're going to go to Singapore.
But not for New Year's Eve, maybe. But maybe in 2022 we will.
Yeah, maybe for Token 2049.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, Sota,
awesome.
Thank you so much for joining our party. We wish you a very happy New Year, and we really hope to see you in 2022 if COVID permits, right?
Right. Yeah, thank you so much, Sorta. It would have not been a party without you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.
All right. So we've gone through 3 Parachain winners.
Correct.
And we're almost ready to announce the 4th one and to interview the 4th Parachain winner. Before we introduce the 4th Parachain winner, which is Parallel Finance, we want to show you the Ads for Chats winner that the Parallel team has chosen and that will receive swag in the next weeks from Polkadot Network. Let's see it. This is nice.
It's great.
Very elegant, right?
Very elegant. I love what they've done with the colors.
Yeah. So thank you for submitting. Just as a reminder of what the challenge and the competition was, do you want to give us a bit of a reminder?
Yes. So the competition we had was Ads for Chads, where we asked the community to meme or create a commercial or an advertisement for their favorite parachain. So thank you to the community. We were blown away with the amount of people that submitted ads.
We are now going to have a short break, but we will be right back. So please stay tuned for the next 2 winners of the auctions on Polkadot Network. Then we're going to watch the premiere of the 3rd episode of Polkadot Behind the Code, and then talk to Dr. Gavin Wood. I'm excited about it.
I'm excited too.
We'll see you right back. Welcome back to Polkadot Parachain Party. We're here at the amazing Prince Charles Club in Berlin, where we're celebrating the onboarding of the first 5 parachains to Polkadot Network. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling great, Raul. And yourself?
I'm good. Are we ready for the 4th winner?
I'm ready.
Before we introduce the 4th winner of the slot auctions, we want to thank again the 4th winner of the Ad for Chats competition. The Parallel Finance team was the one choosing the winner, so super excited about that. Now, let's talk a bit about the 4th winner, Parallel Finance. Parallel Finance is a DeFi parachain on Polkadot, allowing users to lend, borrow, and stake their tokens. The project was very active, supporting crowd loans from various teams on their chain. And joining us today, I think he's about to take a flight, so we're super, super happy that we have him here, is Yubo. Yubo, congratulations on your team winning the 4th auction.
Congratulations, Yubo.
Thank you. Super excited.
How are you
today? Here today? I'm doing extremely good. Thank you.
Yeah, we're good. We're celebrating here with a lot of balloons. We love the balloons behind you, so thank you for joining.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
Let's start with the questions, shall we? Yubo, what are the highlights of your year, and what are the highlights for your team as well of 2021?
Yeah, so it was quite an exciting journey. We started 7 months ago, and then we have grown from 0 to 35 people as a team. We launched 2 to 3 different protocols on 2 different networks. And then we're also super excited to raise a bunch of capital, and then especially more importantly to launch Parachain. This is such a exciting journey for us, and then we're looking forward to launch more products to help this whole ecosystem in the next coming year.
What was the reaction of your team when your Parachain onboarded this morning?
They're just so excited. Everyone's like sending text message to each other in the group chat. We're fully remote. So we just, super happy and have conversations on that.
Great. Now, you mentioned also that you successfully launched 2 networks because you have a parachain on Kusama called Heiko.
Correct.
Can you tell us a little bit about the differences between the 2 networks?
Yeah, of course. So Heiko network is our parallel network on Kusama. We launched most of the innovative features on Heiko network first, and then we target for a little bit different community, and then the governance process, the development process would be generally faster than parallel itself. But I think in general, the functionality wise are pretty similar.
Great. Now, Yubo, a fun fact about you is that you dropped out of school 3 times, once in high school and twice out of Stanford. You have to tell us more.
Yeah, 100%. So, this is actually my 4th company that I started. Previously, I was really into programming and building hardwares and, making those kind of soldering the circuit boards and things like that when I was maybe 9 years old. And then in middle school and high school, I started to build robots, go to a lot of competition and win a bunch. For example, the Microsoft Imagine Cup. So in high school, we kind of come up with these ideas of building a robotic for children to help them learn financial habits. So I literally just, tell the school that I have to run a company. But back then it was in China, and people think that I'm definitely crazy. And they want us to go to, a good college. But I decided not to do so. To go out and raise fund and build a company is quite hard. The first company actually doesn't work. And then the second one was acquired after 2 years of hard work. And then, it was acquired by a pretty large company. And then, so moving to the US, I spent a bunch of time into the crypto space. Around 4.5 years ago, I sort of all into the crypto. So the second company I started, our third company I started is called 8 Decimal Capital. So it's a venture fund that we managed 60 million. It was 2017, so I decided to say, hey, this is once in a lifetime opportunity. We have to drop to run the fund and invest. And recently in Parallel Finance, back and forth multiple times.
That's exciting.
Do you have any plans to go back to school or plans to start another project?
Probably not. Not in the short term, not in the recent many years. I don't know how long it's going to take, but it's always good to learn some stuff. But I don't think the full-time study makes sense to me.
I mean, it's good to know that, I think. Yubo, we were talking previously with Rob Habermeyer, and he was explaining a bit about the challenges of managing a decentralized team, right? You mentioned that you started your chain 7 months ago, so that's COVID times. What are the challenges for you guys to manage a remote team?
Right, this is extremely hard. As I said, we have around just 35 people, but we are running 5 different protocols on 2 different networks. And then we're rapidly expanding and then maintaining the existing protocol. And then the crawling product that we have had over, like 70,000 users. It's just incredibly hard to manage the whole team. And then I think one of the big challenges to scale the team to be able to run all of the protocols, because we're taking a different approach of building most of the protocols ourselves as a company. I think, this is just one of the biggest challenge, which is to scale the company.
And can you tell us a bit what sets Parallel apart from other solutions in the ecosystem, and especially from other DeFi chains?
Yeah, 100%. So Parallel is a one-stop DeFi ecosystem for DOT holders and Kusama holders. And then, so one of the biggest differences is that we do not have a smart contract capability. So people cannot build on top of us. So think about a lot of platforms like Android. Anyone can build on top. It's open source. For us, it's more like an Apple approach, where we, as a company, to develop all of the protocols, and then we control the quality, and then we deliver directly to the end users, which is the DAO Kusama holders and also ecosystem token holders. And then the other really big difference is that we target specifically, for crowd loans, and then crowd loan derivative, and then the existing, sort of DeFi markets. So in our opinion, the one-stop experience is critical, right? So people use our solution to do crowd loan, and then they can use the crowd loan derivative, which is the C dot and P dot, to do borrow and lend on our money markets, to do trading on our DEXs, liquid staking, and things like that. It's just all sort of great user experience, and then we designed that particularly for DOT holders, and then so users don't have to switch between different apps and switch between different wallets and things like that.
Yeah, that was great pointing out, because we had other DeFi chains join us previous to you, both Akala and Astar and obviously Moonbeam, that have smart contract capability, but Parallel Finance, like you said, has a different approach to that. Now, can you tell us a little bit about your chain's New Year's resolution? What can the community expect to see from you in 2022?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that we're planning to do. So one of the important feature we're going to launch is this sort of autonomous onboarding process for all of the parachains for our crowd loan. Any crowd loan or any parachain team can launch that campaign on our pallets, and then being able to set up the rewards, mint their token on our chain, so that it was completely autonomous and decentralized. We're going to launch our money market, liquid staking, and DEXs on our mint chain, so people can perform one-stop sort of DeFi application on top of it. And then in the next year, we're going to launch for sure for derivative markets, things related to margin staking, perpetual futures, and things like that leverage our existing crowd loan derivative tokens. And then and obviously, we are very interested to also build like ecosystem type of projects. So it includes some, ecosystem tools regarding governance, or, like some tools to manage your asset in the Polkadot space and things like that.
Nice. So as you can see, this is a New Year party, right? What is your plan for New Year's Eve? What are you going to do?
So we're actually going to meet up with a couple team members in LA. Actually after the show, and then so we're planning to do sort of this team building every 3 months to go somewhere and then have some fun, because we're fully remote, and then and our team is globalized, and then we try to have everyone come to one place, and then sort of really meet in person and have some fun. So yeah, I think New Year is an important time for us to relax a bit and then celebrate as well.
That's exciting. Maybe next time you can invite us.
Yeah.
100%.
Must have gotten
guys.
lost in
I
the
think it
mail.
would be good. Well, we want to thank you for joining the party, and we wish you and your team a happy new year, and we hope to see you guys in 2022.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have a safe flight.
Thank you. Yeah. Have a good one.
Bye.
Thanks. All right, and last but certainly not least, we have the 5th and final winner of this auction batch, Clover Finance. But before we bring them on board, let us check out the ads for chats.
Nice.
Nice.
All in one wallet, I could say. Congratulations to the 5th winner of the Ads for Chats competition. We're super excited about all of this.
Congratulations. Clover Finance is a DeFi parachain built on top of Polkadot Network. Joining us today, we have Norel, co-founder of Clover Finance, and Yuan, the head of research. Norel, Yuan, congratulations on winning the 5th auction.
I hope you can see us and hear us. It's taking a little longer, I think. I mean, they were the last Parachain 2 on board, so they had a few days to prepare for this. When did they onboard?
Putting me on the spot.
Saturday morning.
Well, yeah, this morning.
Right. But they won the Parachain slot on Thursday. Correct? Yes.
Correct.
So there they are. Hi, guys. Can you hear us?
Hey, guys. Greetings from Clover Finance. Hear you guys well.
How are you today?
We're doing great. Very excited for the day.
Cool. So welcome to our party. We're really excited to have you here. Our first question of the evening is, what are your highlights for 2021?
The biggest highlight of the year is definitely being able to secure the slot, being the 5th winning parachain of the first batch. We're very excited about this. And with this happening, the team would really love to take the opportunity today to thank our community, to thank Polkadot officials, Parity, fellow projects that work alongside. And other than that, we were also very excited about the opportunity earlier, being able to bring Clover Finance to a greater audience base to platforms like Coinbase and CoinList. And on the development side-wise, we definitely made a lot of breakthrough this year. We have implemented quite a few things like the Clover-specific runtime logics, and there's a governance of smart contracts, and then there is the economic incentive on the EVM, the cross-chain. And earlier, just a couple months ago, we did propose a new dApps interaction protocol. So what it really does is it allows users to interact with like dApps from different chains without having the need to switch networks. So what it really does is improving an overall user experience. Last but not least is that we launched our first iteration of the cross-chain wallet called Clover Wallet. And just last quarter, right now, we are trying to gather a lot more kind of feedback from users. So far, we have accumulative downloads of over 300,000 downloads. Partnership integration of over 50. Product is made available in 3 different front ends. So they're available in web, and extension, and mobile. So supporting multi-asset NFT, that's from different blockchains, including the EVM ones. So really trying to encourage our community, take a look at it, let us know what you guys think. We're always looking for improvement.
That's exciting.
Yeah, we saw that in your meme, make us the wallet with everything. And I would say that that's exactly what you're trying to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, Norel, I heard that a clover is your favorite plant. May I assume that's how your network got its name?
Yes, definitely. I do hear a lot of people asking for like the origin of the name. Really, I'm not gonna like BS about it. It doesn't mean anything at first. I just like the plant. I was pretty lucky my entire life. They tell me that clover brings good luck, and then that's why at the very beginning of the project, I just thought about, you know what, let's call it Clover. And during the design time, I was just trying to incorporate some Polkadot component into the logo, just because we're a Polkadot-based project. And by putting together like the 4 dots, I thought like, you know what, it's really cool. It's creating like a clover shape, and then like the form of the logo that it's kind of symbolized the connection of the dots, you know, in a multi-chain universe, bringing interoperability.
Nice.
Wonderful.
That's very nice. Tell us a bit more about Clover and what sets you apart from other solutions in the ecosystem and even other DeFi chains. What sets your project apart?
Well, yeah, so what I would like to describe is that Clover provides a one-stop infrastructure for cross-chain and generally all types of decentralized applications, such as DeFi. On the top layer, we have the Clover multi-platform wallets that sit as the user's interface and entrance. And on the middle layer, we have the Clover dApp interaction protocol. And on the bottom layer, there is the chain EVM and native cross-chain support. In the meantime, Clover is very developer and user-friendly. Developers can get real economic incentives by developing and deploying popular smart contracts on Clover. So we reparameterize the gas distribution module to direct phase to both network validators and the app builders. Users will also benefit from lower transaction fees overall. So, and also lastly, we offer innovative governance features to Clover EVM. And this includes gas fee governance, smart contract management, and upgradable smart contract functionalities.
Wonderful. Now, Yuan, you mentioned that you have smart contract functionality. Teams can build decentralized applications on top of your chain. Can you maybe tell our followers, our viewers, a little bit about what kind of decentralized applications you would like to see built on Clover, or what kind of applications are being built right now that you're really excited about?
Yeah, so basically, as you may know, that Metaverse and GameFi, that's an overall like very hot topic recently in the crypto space. So we are definitely cooperating with some of our good GameFi and Metaverse partners in the last couple of months. We announced a couple of partners already, and we are actually onboarding more of them to Clover. And also from our wallet products, because it's a universal like multi-chain, cross-chain wallet. So we are actively building our ecosystem to actually adapt to more products, maybe from other chains. And that way we can do, you know, the cross-chain and interaction to the Polkadot, and, you know, just to bring more values to the Polkadot ecosystem.
Wonderful. Now, can you tell us a little bit about what's your chain's New Year's resolution? What can the Polkadot community expect to see from Clover Finance in 2022?
Yeah, with a Parachain going online, so we continue to focus on growing the Clover ecosystem and strengthening the Clover chain infrastructure. So we are looking to develop more infrastructures for the ecosystem, such as the cross-chain Explorer, analytic tools, our wallet SDKs, and other open source modules. In addition to that, we will also support more public blockchains for our cross-chain bridge, such as to Solana and Avalanche. And we will also support the apps from more blockchains, such as Trion, as to, you know, better the user experience. And yeah, I think that's about it.
Great. Well, we look forward to see you in 2022. Guys, we want to thank you for joining the party.
Yes, thank you.
And we hope to see you in 2022 next year. And Happy New Year for you.
Yeah,
thank you. Likewise,
too.
Guys.
Have a good one.
Happy New
Thanks.
Yeah, Happy
Bye-bye.
New Year and happy. Yeah. Bye.
All right. I am super excited about this part. Now, I just want to say this. The Polkadot Behind the Series was a series of episodes that were directed and produced by Simon Hipkins and his team. The team followed the Polkadot team and other Parachains team around the world and documented the development of Polkadot Network and the growth of the Polkadot community. We're really excited to show you the third episode. Without any further delay, here's the third episode of Polkadot Behind the Code.
There are a lot of ideas in my mind about what it is that we can do next year, developing some of those products like bridges, making Polkadot as good as it can be. Parachains launching on Polkadot is the fifth and final stage of Polkadot's launch. This represents the end of our initial journey of delivering what we'd set out in the Polkadot paper back in late 2016, so 5 years of hard work.
If you think about the current blockchain networks, they kind of operate in their own silos, like Bitcoin is their own, Ethereum is their own, and they don't talk to each other very much. Polkadot is more like the internet of blockchains. Everybody can communicate with each other in a meaningful way.
Polkadot has taken the leading position as a contender to Ethereum, but also as a leading contender to simply connect everything.
The growth that we've seen in kind of the community around like our project has been amazing, and obviously part of that is just because we're part of Polkadot. I think it's that feeling of community. It's kind of the size and kind of the activity levels.
This is the first fully sharded blockchain. This is a chain that can host really domain-specific applications and allow them to interoperate and to communicate. parachain auctions and parachain crowd loans are the beginnings of what we can do with what we've delivered, and indeed what other teams can do with what we've delivered.
We had a very meetup-centric community plan, which was we'll have meetups in a bunch of different cities. Anybody who wants to come can join.
So Polkadot takes a different approach by letting chains pool that security.
After a while, these meetups transitioned into parity and friends. So different teams from the ecosystem presenting what they're doing instead.
We actually started using Substrate as a framework even before I think the Polkadot repo starts to be active.
By us focusing on the core technologies, we've been able to attract all of the best blockchain builders to dedicate their platform, their business on the Substrate Polkadot technology. There are hundreds of builders right now, different teams looking to build and get a parachain on Polkadot or even Kusama.
When we started to build on Polkadot, it is the Web3 Foundation that encouraged us to go for a grant and support us to build Akala.
We literally delivered our first testnet after 3 months of building. This is a test network with 1,300 community-run nodes. It took us another few months to actually get to production ready, but you can already see how this is going to speed up the innovation in this space. Right now, there's a lot of constraint building inside a virtual machine. And then moving on to Polkadot, you can build a full blockchain. You can customize the economic policies, for example. That actually makes a lot of things that weren't possible today, possible.
I had been very pleased with both my investments in Bitcoin and my investments in Ethereum. And by the time Polkadot story started to be shared, it was very clear that in some ways blockchains would look like websites, that there would be many, many blockchains, and that by being so discrete and unrelated and not connected, a lot of opportunity would be missed. And so the interconnected interoperability thinking and thesis behind Polkadot really appealed to me. This is a grassroots movement. This is a large number of developers who are really talented in their own right, coming together and each making the decision that Polkadot is the right ecosystem for them. And I think Polkadot now has the most projects being built on it after 3 years of any protocol so far to date.
There was a pretty significant number of developers that were familiar with this Ethereum technology stack. I started to say, okay, we can take the best of that world and marry it with the security and kind of networking and and the power of Substrate that's in Polkadot. That would be a powerful combination. It wasn't even that long ago that mono chain ruled the day, right? I mean, you kind of, as a developer, you chose one chain and then that was your home, right? You would deploy there and that was it. And so I think what's happened, is that this thinking has really changed. You might have a project, they could have started on Ethereum, but now they're saying, we're going to take kind of our same implementation and deploy it, into multiple remote destinations.
We've engaged with a whole bunch of people at this point in terms of building and deploying to Moonbeam.
Moonbeam can provide this kind of, let's call it an easy starting environment where people can test their ideas and find product market fit. And then it could be that, once they kind of find that there's an upgrade path, right? They can kind of grow into a full parachain. If we can be the kind of on-ramp that onboards these developers, but then, ultimately they, get substantial enough where they want to have their own parachain, I mean, we'll consider that a great success.
I think it was 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah, at that time, Gavin comes to Japan and he presented the idea of the Polkadot. I realized that Polkadot gonna be the foundation of the next Web 3.0. Yeah, that's why I decided to join Polkadot space. I am one of the first Polkadot ambassador. I think we are one of the first team who joined the Polkadot ecosystem. Since Polkadot relay chain does not support smart contract, all people in the ecosystem need at least one parachain, which supports smart contract very well. A lot of people has already made dApps on the top of Ethereum, and they can use exactly the same contract on the top of Asta network. And when it comes to smart contract hub, scalability will be obviously a problem. So Substrate is a customizable blockchain. So we are making ZK rollup palette, Substrate palette, and the user can import this palette so that they can migrate from Ethereum to Polkadot without compromising, without sacrificing rollup contract.
The fact that the parachains are made of the same stuff, they're both made of Substrate, our framework for building blockchains, means that any improvements that are created for one of these parachains can very easily be folded back in on the relay chain level or the Polkadot level, and then of course out to other parachains. So it allows this incredible level of innovation.
I think a very important notion is the idea of comparative advantage, right? Where you have one chain which is very good at a specific thing, and that interoperates with another chain that's very good at a specific thing, and then you can build an application that leverages both of them to create something even more efficient.
The old thinking is always like, okay, if I want smart contracts, I need to put those into like my platform itself. Well, I don't know. Like maybe there's a way where you might have smart contract needs on your parachain. Maybe you can outsource like that. It's like the way the software is structured forces the collaboration paths like between the different teams, and then by being cohesive and close, I think then you get this like net effect of like the whole is greater than some of its parts.
I think the goal is like 100 parachains. So you can see like 100 different sort of like a layer 1 blockchains. And then on top of that, if we see 100 different applications, like useful applications that can all compose and leverage off each other, then you are looking at 10,000 different innovative applications.
Polkadot is really seen as one of the top public blockchain in China. Number of the community and number of the project in the ecosystem as compared to other blockchain is doing a lot better.
目前，创始团队来自中国的开发者已经是波卡生态的中坚力量。从 Web3 Grant 的申请数量来看，超过18%的项目来自中国，已经是全球首位。
必须要有一个跨链或者多链的这样一个网络，把大家能够连在一起。Polkadot 是一个跨链的平台，它除了跨链以外，我认为它那种多链的这样一个技术架构，对将来大规模的商业应用，一个分布式商业的时代正在到来，而 Polkadot 等等为代表的这 Web3 这样一些技术基础，是它的一个催化剂，是这种。
我们现在的互联网是一个有巨头垄断的互联网，而我们这些隐私数据每天都会暴露在这些巨头控制的产品之下。但是区块链技术它作为一个重塑互联网的波卡，它可以把很多区块链项目链接起来，实现 Web 3.0的愿景。在这个新的秩序当中呢，互联网它将会成为一个真正的去中心化的互联网。
One thing that really stands out to me for Polkadot is the on-chain governance aspect of it, where there's a council, a technical committee, and any DOT holder has a say in the direction of the protocol, and you can vote, and there's referenda, and it's all on chain, it's all transparent.
Any community member who's a DOT holder can both vote on governance proposals and can submit proposals, including treasury proposals.
Whenever a validator authors a block and gets a reward, some amount of that reward is diverted into the treasury. So the treasury grows over time, but it also shrinks over time. So there's a periodic burn of the funds within the treasury, some proportion of them, which is intended to incentivize spending by the governance systems. That's a use it or lose it kind of mechanism.
As of November 2021, I think on Polkadot network, we have more than 20 million DOT tokens ready to be spent by the community. And we're looking for developers and teams who are willing to come and develop for the Polkadot ecosystem. The Treasury has two main goals. The first one is provide added value to the ecosystem. The second one is help in mass adoption.
Things like training people, teaching them to use Substrate to build on Polkadot, to understand the concepts, funding research, taking professors and academics and having them work on their favorite problems in the context of Polkadot, showing people how they can use these types of apps to just improve their lives, right? Maybe for sending things like remittances, to understand how this is going to affect them in their daily life.
When you look at the changing of the industry right now in the direction of Industry 4.0, it looks very much like industry needs machine identity. They actually do want it fully decentralized because they want to have a trustless system. They don't want a system where you have 2 or 3 big companies which owns the validity of all the credentials, because this is dangerous to them. We just started a really, really cool project funded by the German government to bring identity to smart meters. They need a little bit more than an identifier because they have certain capabilities. For example, if you have a solar roof with 6 kilowatt peak, then this smart meter should actually be able to talk to the grid and say who's connecting when and who's connecting with which capability. Then you have a much better chance to balance out the grid. And this is really an IoT device because this Raspberry Pi can actually run a node, as we noticed. So it's actually helping the environment in a very nice way, and it's also saving cost, and it's also using the grid infrastructure better than it was used before. When you produce something, an IoT device, then you have to attach like 4 credentials to that. And all those credentials cost like $25 each because the Ethereum gas price is up today. Then this is a non-predictable production cost. It's a no-go for everyone in industry. On the one side, you need the truth in the system from the decentralized system. On the other side, you need a predictable price. And I think Polkadot is the only technology that solves that dilemma. This really rolls out, then many people out there will actually have a killed node in their apartment, and we would love that.
The biggest outcomes from the blockchain, the most exciting stuff, are going to be the categories of business that have never existed because they couldn't. And now they can because blockchain technology was the missing piece. And so now that we have that piece, for the billions of creative minds out there to come up with a handful of businesses where when you see them, you say, holy shit, I never thought about that. But then you can't unsee it. You can't stop thinking about it. You can't unimagine a world without them once you hear about those ideas.
Are we at a place where we actually think that we will be able to build potentially a new way of transacting digitally in our lifetime?
Well, one of my goals with Polkadot is to remove the need for the mainstream adopters to use crypto at all. And this is something that's dramatically different between Polkadot and the smart contract model that we saw that was introduced with Ethereum. And it's not simply because of the scalability problem, but it's also because users have to hold Ether. They have to hold this crypto. So with Polkadot, the applications buy almost like a job lot of consensus bandwidth.
Polkadot is unique in providing economic freedom for its applications. The application has already paid for its parachain. While it has the lease, it has however long, 2 years potentially on Polkadot, of sort of free, decentralized, secure compute capacity. It can, if it wants, make exactly the same decisions that are made every microsecond at platforms like Twitter and Facebook and Google, when they decide when a new request comes in whether they want to serve it or not. It never needs to be done with DOT tokens, and it doesn't necessarily need to be done with the application tokens. The application might have all sorts of other ways of deciding. For example, every user that has a valid Facebook account that's more than 6 months old can use your application. Every user that has a decentralized identity sorted can use your application. And this allows you to onboard users without having to get them to buy in on your tokens. Right? That allows you to have this breakout application where users don't need to know or care that it's based on blockchain or cryptocurrency. That allows you to open it up to the world.
Nice.
All right, everyone, welcome back. We are here at the bar for our last and final section of tonight. Thank you, Jonathan. What are we drinking?
We're going to drink my own creation of a swimming pool.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wonderful. Well, pour it.
Good. Should we cheer right now?
We should.
Yeah, we have to get ready for this interview. Looks good.
Yeah, it's not ready yet.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah. Raul.
I'm sorry,
relax.
I'm a bit anxious about it. Wow.
And not finished yet.
Lemon. Great. Thank you.
Thank
Cheer?
you. Yeah, from one swimming pool to a next, Raul.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Good. Okay.
All right, and last but certainly not least, we have Gavin Wood, the former CTO and co-founder of Ethereum, founder of Web3 Foundation, Parity Technologies, Polkadot Network, and Kusama Network, and last but certainly not least, the biggest Eurovision fan I know.
Yeah, me too. Gav, can you hear us?
I can hear you guys.
How are you today?
Good evening.
Good
evening.
I'm good. How are you?
Good. What are you drinking?
Very dapper there. I have some red wine, and I'm very impressed with the Polkadot bar.
It's really good, right?
Yeah.
You see the logo and everything, the new brand?
I do indeed. I see Poke.
Yeah. You see
We
Poke?
got a
Great.
dot right
Oh
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
The new
Yeah.
logo. Lovely.
There you go. Well, as you know, the community has submitted some questions for you via Twitter with the hashtag #AskTheFounders. We have selected some of them, and we're ready to ask away. Are you ready?
Yep. Go ahead.
Cool.
I'm ready.
The first question is, Parachain Auctions is the fifth and final stage of the planned Polkadot development. What will the core development of the Polkadot relay chain look like after that?
So this is the I think the Polkadot in the code or the documentary from just before mentioned me actually saying that indeed this is the final delivery segment. So in that sense, it's chapter closed, first chapter. Second chapter is, Parity's very much committed to developing the Polkadot protocol and its implementation of it into the sort of 1.x series. We've got this 1.0 release essentially out, and really the main elements that I'm looking to push forward on the core development level would be performance optimizations for transaction throughput, networking and certain features like contextual execution, which are really going to help elevate these numbers. Message passing, performance optimizations as well, so make XCMP faster than it currently is. Parathreads and Spree are two also really important core technologies that will be sort of in the 1.x core development roadmap for Parity. There's also a bunch of, Polkadot's based on Substrate. The whole point of Substrate, or one of the sort of really important points of Substrate, is that meta protocol, right? It's a WebAssembly-based meta protocol, so it's upgradable over time. It can change and it can shift and it can improve really quite, in terms of its operational footprint, really quite easily. And so really we want to make sure that these improvements are coming thick and fast over the course of the next years to come. And, the thing that's sort of exciting at the moment is the prospect of evolving the governance elements of Polkadot Relay from the initial sort of one governance version 1 to something more inclusive and more agile, treasury management tools, the economic features within the protocol, and also like things like auctions, improving auctions, potentially looking at ways that we can make these somehow fairer or faster or whatever. So yeah, we got a lot of stuff to come, and I think it's gonna be a really interesting road.
It's going to be an exciting year.
Yeah, right. As much as today is a completion and ending of the Polkadot, the completion of the Polkadot white paper, Gav, that you wrote 5 years ago, it's also hearing you talk the beginning of something much, much bigger. And our second question coming from the community is, what type of solutions are you most excited to be built on top of Polkadot and interoperate?
Well, there's a few things that that spring to mind. I mean, it depends really what you mean by on top of. I look at like as a core technologist, on top of what we have now. I mean, Spree is kind of on top of what we have now, and this is one of the sort of core level features that I'm really interested to see, because it's going to be a bit of a game changer in terms of how the various parachains can interoperate with each other. But if we're looking at like strictly things that are built on top, like as parachains, then I think there's a couple of like interesting things. Like bridges in general are really interesting use cases within the parachain model, and a potentially like a very low friction, very cheap, non-collateralized bridge for like the Bitcoin, like typical Bitcoin technologies. Allowing Polkadot to hold Bitcoin through maybe like a trusted execution environment-based multi-signature system, I think could be quite interesting. Probably one of the most exciting things for me, though, would be a secure substrate bridge hub, which effectively would allow like dozens, potentially over 100 substrate chains to be securely bridged in on a single parachain slot. And with this, you can really imagine a huge amount more flexibility than the traditional parachain model, and potentially an awful lot, huge magnification of the amount of transactions that could be secured.
Nice. Now, you've been working in the blockchain industry for what, 6, 7, 8 years? What's a common myth about blockchain that you can debunk?
The one that comes to mind, I think it's really most I don't know how prevalent it is within the sort of true believer community, but once you sort of make your way outside of that, I think it does become quite prevalent. It's this concept that like maybe like decentralization somehow is equivalent to unstoppability, right? And these two things are quite different, which is why on Polkadot we try and call the applications unstoppable apps, UApps, rather than simply dApps, decentralized apps. And I'll tell you why why the two things are not the same, right? Bitcoin, the reason Bitcoin is a thing and wasn't like shut down is because it was unstoppable. Like to all practical purposes, it was unstoppable. Now it was unstoppable. How did it attain this like attribute of unstoppability? Well, it did it through sufficient decentralization. But the really important word in there is sufficient, right? Decentralization is a bit like democracy. It exists along a spectrum. On the one hand, you can have like theoretical democracy, where it's like, yeah, people kind of vote, but like it's their intentions are not well respected. And on the other end, you've got like some mythical like true democracy that's like perfect in every way, but that's never really realizable. So every democratic system falls in between them, and every decentralized system falls in between, not really very decentralized at all and theoretically perfectly decentralized. What matters is if it's decentralized enough to be unstoppable. And there's a lot of systems which are somewhat decentralized, but are not really unstoppable. Like they could be stopped fairly easily. And some of these are even in like the really high up on the coin market cap table. And it's really important, I think, to remember that unstoppable is not the same as decentralized. It really does have to be sufficiently decentralized.
Nice.
Great. Now, Gav, where does the Polkadot name come from? How did you come up with the name? Why did you choose the name Polkadot?
Well, there's a few stories going around about this. In some sense, it was a bit of a back naming. In that I quite like the idea that Polkadot, the pattern of polka dots, doesn't have a center, right? It's not like a logo where you can actually, well, the logo's in this space here. There's the center of the space. That's kind of the center of the logo. With polka dots, it's just an infinite pattern in all directions, and there isn't a center to the polka dot pattern, which I think fits quite nicely. Also, the idea of pluralism. You've got a lot of dots. And this fits Polkadot in many respects. It fits it on the, both in terms of there being lots of parachains and in terms of there being, a governance with lots of sort of input sources for the decision making. But if you want to know the sort of real reason why it was called Polkadot, it actually is much simpler. As most, I guess probably many of the viewers here will know, I wrote one of the sort of things that I'm most known for is writing the Ethereum yellow paper. And when it came to writing a Polkadot paper, I figured I would, give it a similar identity. At the time, Polkadot wasn't known as Polkadot. I had a couple of other sort of working titles. And I was thinking, what color shall I put in the background? And it was like, maybe I'll move on from colors, because colors had already been copied by a few of the other papers that had come out in the 12 months before. So I figured maybe I'd do a pattern, and I thought stripes, polka dot's more fun. So I made this polka dot pattern for the white paper of what is currently known as Polkadot. And after I don't know, a few weeks of looking at I forget what it was called, but like the system that thence became known as Polkadot, I quite liked I started calling it the Polkadot paper rather than the yellow paper or the pink paper, and it sort of just came to me, well, why not just call the protocol Polkadot? Because it's the Polkadot paper now, after all. And so I ditched the pre-existing names, and here we are today.
And the paper looks really cool.
Yeah.
So that's really good. Throughout the year, we've talked a lot about XCMP. We have begun to scratch the surface of what XCM is capable of. What kind of future do you envision for this type of protocol once it's fully active?
Yeah, I mean, so XCMP, I think once we roll out certain other things like, parathreads and Spree, XCMP, which is the mechanism by which Polkadot allows its parachains to talk to each other, will really sort of come into a life of its own, in that it will allow these entirely disparate chains that don't even necessarily trust each other. They trust that Polkadot's going to keep them in check, but they don't trust each other's logic. They don't necessarily trust that, like, for example, each other's governance systems. And that means that they can't do certain things directly. They work through intermediary chains, like for example, statement. But with Spree, we allow for things like the logic of statement to exist actually in a protected enclave that sits within each parachain. And with XCMP, this allows these chains to communicate directly in an entirely trust-free fashion. And this introduces all performance benefits, as well as all sorts of possibilities for like rich information flow, things like certification that wouldn't otherwise be possible. But of course, XCMP is one technology, and XCM is an entirely different technology. XCM is actually the message format that sits that sits on these protocol transports like XCMP. And XCM allows chains, whether they potentially outside of Polkadot, to express their intention, express some meaning about what's going on or what they expect of the destination, which is general, which is abstract, which basically means it's compatible between different systems. And this kind of new message format is quite exciting, and it will eventually allow for all sorts of again rich information to be passed, and rich instructions, rich declarations to be passed between entirely disparate systems. Again, perhaps systems outside of Polkadot, over bridges and so forth, that XCMP alone wouldn't be able to transport the message to.
Nice.
Yeah, excellent. XCMP and, like you previously said, Spree are, two things I certainly am looking forward to come out of Polkadot and really realize the potential of Polkadot. Now, Gav, for the last question of the evening, we've got to know who should have won Eurovision 2021?
Well, in my mind, there was barely a contest. I thought Iceland did very well, and I think had it been any other year, Iceland would most certainly have gotten my vote. But 2021 was no ordinary year in Eurovision. It had two exceptional acts on, and for my money, Lithuania was without a doubt Eurovision winner 2021, and in my mind, the previous 10 years as well.
Wow. That's a statement. Well, Gav, that's all the time we have. We want to thank you for joining the party, and we hope to see you in 2022, and we wish you a very, very happy new year.
And I wish you guys a great party going forward.
Thank you.
You as well.
Bye, Gav.
Great.
Ciao.
Ciao, ciao.
All right, and the moment we've all been looking forward to, it wouldn't have been a party unless Kusama crashed it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So if you go to polkadot.network right now, you will find 3 canary birds hidden on the website. Find all 3, screenshot them, and tweet your screenshots using the hashtag #FindTheBird for a chance to win limited edition Kusama mugs.
Ooh, nice.
Exciting. And that's a wrap for us.
Yeah, it is.
We would like to thank all the Parachain teams that tuned in, for the Polkadot founders, Rob and Gav and Joe, the Statement team, and for all of you at home who tuned in tonight and took time out of your day on your Saturday evening or afternoon or day.
Also, thank you for the team behind Polkadot, behind the code. We're super excited about seeing the new developments, and we wish you all a happy new year, and maybe we'll see you in 2022. You want to cheer?
Sure.
Sure.
I'd love
yeah,
to.
I mean, let's do it. Bye, everyone. We'll see you
Ciao.
soon.
Oh my God.